fuel choice that even rivals can agree on? Now that's worth the hype. Pump it up with Unleaded 88.
This fall, the Sandman, Adam Sandler, You're My Best Friend Tour.
I feel like we're very good friends now.
Casey Center, Saturday, October 4th. Get tickets now at HiVTix.com.
Time for Hawks on Tap, proudly poured by Bud Light, featuring Andrew Downs and the best Iowa media personalities. Live from Buffalo Wild Wings across Iowa.
What is up? Welcome to Hawks on Tap here on Iowa Everywhere. We are live at Buffalo Wild Wings, Merle Hay Road here in Des Moines. Andrew Downs and the best Iowa media personalities with me. Scott Dochterman, who covers the Big Ten, Iowa, and Iowa State for The Athletic. Scott, thank you, first of all, for picking up my slack last week. You and Todd Brommelkamp did a great first show from Iowa City. I appreciate that. And it's good to have you here tonight.
It's great to be here in Des Moines. I love coming to Des Moines, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm sorry you weren't able to join us at the old Capitol Mall and the Buffalo Wild Wings there, which I frequented. You know, I worked 10 years in the old Capitol Mall for the Cedar Rapids Gazette.
Yeah.
I went there all the time and really enjoyed it. And I'm glad it's still around. And it was a great time last week.
Well, I appreciate that. And we're also joined by Jake Brend, the reigning Iowa Sportscaster of the Year, who now covers Iowa State for Cyclone Fanatic. What's up, bud?
I saw your tone change from Sportscaster of the Year to Cyclone. So
I mean, it's Friday, the Cyhawk game.
I'm honored to be probably the first and only Iowa State voice on this show probably all year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine anyone else will come on, so
No.
I'll try and behave. We're probably both homers in a way.
Absolutely.
Well,
that's
maybe
what
we'll
this is for.
Maybe we'll let the people judge by the end of the show who's the bigger homer.
The people here in Buffalo Wild Wings, don't worry, the Chiefs game will be on at 7 o'clock. We got you covered there. But until then, and then beyond here on Iowa Everywhere, we'll be talking, previewing the Cyhawk game as we've been doing all day here on Iowa Everywhere. This is our fourth live show of the day. Started this morning at Eggs and Jam in West Des Moines with two guys named Chris, or two guys. How's that there, John? All right. Then we had Murph and Andy. I was there up in Polk City on RVTV. That was a great time. Scott, you and the Chris's were out at Big Grove in Des Moines previewing the game. And now here we are, Buffalo Wild Wings. This has been a big day for this company. We appreciate everybody joining us, following along. And a special shout out to our guy, Sam Meek from Fort Dodge.
Wow.
He has done it. He has made it to all four local shows today.
He ran the Iowa Everywhere Marathon.
He did. Yes. That's more shows than I was at.
How many miles is that? From West Des Moines to Polk City to
that's a good
downtown,
question.
Back to North Des Moines. And then, to and from Fort Dodge.
To and from Fort Dodge. Wow.
It's at least a tank of gas right there.
If you need a place to crash tonight, Jake will put you up. We got a fun night ahead here at Buffalo Wild Wings, Merle Hay Road, including giveaways like a pair of tickets to Iowa, Oregon. Might have a couple of undefeated top 5 teams in that. Probably not. That's November 8th at Kinnick Stadium. We got some Buffalo Wild Wings gift cards. And then Bud Light has a chance for you to win tickets to the Super Bowl by playing the football toss game out here on the patio. So hit up your waiter or anybody you see to get involved in that. Thank you to Bud Light, Buffalo Wild Wings. We got $4 Bud Lights, not just tonight, but tomorrow as well. Buffalo Wild Wings, whether you're here in Des Moines or anywhere in the state of Iowa, is the place to be for the Cyhawk game tomorrow. $4 Bud Lights. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. All right, guys, before we look ahead, let's look back just a little bit. Scott, we'll start with you. Now that we've had nearly a week to digest what we saw against UAlbany, have you changed your overall outlook on Iowa's season based on what you saw, or are you kind of putting that away and allowing yourself to continue what you thought in the off season?
I mean, I take things in perspective.
Yeah.
And I don't try to rush from, hey, they're going to win it all to, hey, they're never going to win another game. I really try to keep things.
You leave that
focused.
to us fans.
I do.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like, oh, they're going to lose every game the way they, and Martinowski and all this. And I'm like, okay, here's what I saw, and I'll give you the elevator pitch on the season, I think. And that is, offensive line was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Defense was pretty good. Running game was very, very good. Quarterback did not play well. And it looked to me to be more mental than physical.
Yeah.
And that's how he explained it. And then later on, I got kind of clarification that, all right, he was pretty amped before the game. And to the point of then, the bullets started flying and he's throwing really bad passes and he's pressing and he's aiming and
that snowball,
but then he was also like, 6 of 7 to finish the game.
Yeah.
So, he started to get it back and then they decided, you know what? We're just going to do what we do.
Yes.
We're going to run the ball. He runs the ball well. We're going to finish it out like this. They were very, very, very vanilla.
Yes.
They should not show a thing. It was like preseason football. And so, no, I'm not, when it comes to the Iowa end of things, I haven't altered anything. Iowa State, on the other hand, looks way better than I expected them.
Absolutely.
And I think they're obviously their momentum is very, very high.
Especially the lack of jet lag after that Ireland trip. It's one thing to go to Ireland. They played kind of sloppy. Both teams did. You expect that. They got the big win, Jake. I thought, hey, you're going to come into this South Dakota game, and it's going to take you a little while to ramp up. It didn't at all. I mean, obviously, touchdown on the first play, but then kept the foot on the gas the entire game. The most impressive thing to me was that there was no jet lag from that first game.
Yeah, it's been this whole year. I feel like that I've been comparing the 2025 Iowa State Cyclones to the 2021 Iowa State Cyclones when they went to the Big 12 Championship, won the Fiesta Bowl, brought pretty much everybody back, and underachieved more than I think any team in Iowa State athletics history has. And I think if that 2021 team started the year in Ireland against Kansas State, not only would they have lost, if they would have won that game and came back to play an FCS team, they probably would have been in a grinder into the third quarter. And I think that just shows the maturity of Matt Campbell and his program altogether, that they are, or whatever went through their system in 2021 is something that Campbell has learned from and also grown from. And that's why I just feel a lot better about the program now than even when Brock Purdy and Breece Hall and Charlie Kohler were there.
Matt Campbell, he uses coach speak. We kind of give him some crap about that. He's been talking about building this program the right way for 10 years, and now we're starting to see the fruit of those labors. And you're exactly right. He's built this program in the same way that Kirk Ferentz built his program in Iowa, and now you're seeing the depth and you're seeing the buy-in, and it's really been impressive. And, Scott, for a long time, I've gone into this game assuming that Iowa State's going to make the big mistake to lose. After last year in this game, when not only did they not do that, they made the big plays to win, and then seeing what Rocco Becht has done since then and how this team looks right now, that's the scariest thing for me as an Iowa fan going into this game is, man, this isn't the Iowa State that shoots themselves in the foot in these games. This is the kind of Iowa State team that can take a win away from you, and that's what concerns me tomorrow.
If you want to look at it from the Iowa State angle, yes, absolutely, because up until 2022, which was a bad year other than this game for Iowa State, but all those other years, you're just waiting for the shoe to drop. It's like, just like 19 was the perfect microcosm of it when the punt happens and then the two, the returner runs into the protector and voila, the Iowa recovers the ball. And that's just kind of what, as an Iowa State fan, I'm sure you thought the whole way that it's just wins is going to drop. Now you don't have that anymore. All the residue from the past is gone. And like Iowa fans might be thinking, well, we did this, and this. Well, these players haven't been a part of that. 2 years ago, they won up in Ames, so they feel good about that. Last year, they had opportunities, and they blew it. As much as Iowa State took it, they blew it.
Absolutely.
And, it was a big play on defense when, Xavier Wampa didn't get back far enough. He understands it. Not going to let that happen again. And then a one-on-one play, two NFL players, Sebastian Castro versus Jalen Knoll. And Jalen, was able to run the out and up and get past him. And I kind of blame Phil. I'm like, hey, you got to be better than that. You can't just expect your cash player who's good to run with a guy who's faster and more explosive than he is. So I think right now, when you look at it, Iowa State has a lot of confidence, and it's deserved. Since Snowmageddon, they're 7-1 in one-score games. For programs like Iowa State and Iowa and Illinois and all these others, that usually tends to even out. It hasn't even out yet. So they have a lot of confidence that even if they get in a one-score game in the fourth quarter, they're not going to be waiting like past Iowa State teams to go, all right, when's the dam going to break on us? It's like, no, we just keep going. And Iowa still has that confidence too, but last year they were less successful.
Yeah.
They're 1-3 in one-score games.
And that's weird for Iowa, and their defense kind of took a step back, and we'll get into all of that. The quarterback is clearly the biggest mismatch, at least as we go into the game. But, Scott, that could change very quickly. We know Mark Gronowski is a winning football player. He won his 50th game as a starter last week. It feels a little ridiculous as a Hawkeye fan to see your team rush for 300 yards, look good in almost every phase of the game except for the passing game, and really except for the first quarter of the passing game, win by 4 scores, and feel like you lost the game because the quarterback didn't look as good as you hoped he would look. The nerves thing totally makes sense to me, but I think Chad Lysico was the one, your partner on Legends and Listeners, that I heard say the cautious approach, the measured approach to quarterback at Iowa right now is the correct approach, but it gets old for fans, right? And now this is the second high-priced transfer quarterback. Iowa they've done all the things, right? They've gone out, they've spent the money, they've gotten the guy, they put him in the position, and as of now, through however many games Cade McNamara started and 1 game of the Mark Gronowski era, it hasn't worked out. It's not fair to judge Mark Gronowski on what Cade McNamara wasn't able to do, but I think it's a tendency that fans are rightfully going to right now.
So it's completely understandable, Andrew. I mean, Iowa fans have a lot of PTSD over quarterback. I mean, there hasn't, as good as Nate Stanley was, he threw 68 touchdown passes, which ranks, I don't know if it's fallen a little bit, but at the time when he stepped away, he was 13th in Big Ten history. I mean, that's a lot of touchdowns, and he had a really good run. But you never felt like he won the game for Iowa, that he's the reason why. It hasn't been since C.J. Beathard has been the case 10 years ago. And so when you look at what's happened the last handful of years, quarterback play has been really suspect. And so Iowa, to its credit, went out and said, you know what, we don't have one at home sitting here waiting to step in. They went out and bought one.
Yeah.
And he's got a winning pedigree, and he's 93 career touchdown passes, 20 rushing touchdowns. He's done everything you asked him to do. And to watch the first quarter, I mean, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Seriously? This is what you're getting? And now, but for me, the reason why I didn't necessarily overreact, I've seen him compete.
Yeah.
I've seen him make big throws. I've seen him win big games. He's won national titles. He's won the FCS Player of the Year. He's done all of those things. So to me, I'm like, this is an aberration, a one-time bad game. He admits it. He says he was over anxious. It appears to be the case, but your mulligan is now over. You don't get another mulligan.
Nope.
You can't. Nobody's going. And I don't want to hear it from Kirk Ferentz if he has his 6 for 15 game and threw 2 interceptions or whatever, and say, well, he's got to work his way. And nobody cares.
No.
This game is not about trying hard. Not when you're paying him this kind of money in this era. You go out and you compete and you win. And if he doesn't succeed, then it's time to pull the plug. But I am not ready to give him. Based on what I have seen him do, he deserves the benefit of the doubt for one more game.
What would surprise you more tomorrow? He has a similar game that we saw against Albany. Iowa loses, and the whole thing is on fire. Or he comes out and looks like he did at South Dakota State, and he's the best quarterback Iowa's had in a decade, and he leads Iowa to a big win.
I'd be more surprised if he fails.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that they can't win.
For sure.
Because they could lose this game and he could
There's
play
no
well.
doubt. Yeah.
This is a very good team that they're playing, but I would be more surprised if he comes out and he's, like the other day, it was like 8 of 17 with 100 yards and, misfires and stuff. I'd be more surprised with that than if he was 14 of 21 for 170 yards and a couple touchdowns.
Jake, as we said, the Cyclones looked a little sloppy in game 1, looked great in game 2. Obviously, the quarterback is there. The tight ends are fantastic. Yep. The running game maybe, is a question right now, the offensive line. And then defensively, I think there are some questions there as well. Where are the Cyclones vulnerable?
I'm not ready to go there with the run game yet because the first half against K-State was so weird. The field was soaked.
Weird
no
play
line
call
could
on the
get-
goal line too.
Yeah,
and
no line could get traction. Then they looked awesome in the second half. Against South Dakota, they didn't really try to do much on the ground, which I thought was a little surprising. So for me, I'm kind of like you guys with the Iowa quarterbacks. Until I am proven otherwise on the offensive line, I'm not going to buy it until I see it. And that's still kind of where I'm at with the running game. On the defense, it's just getting pressure on the quarterback. I know the big plays have maybe been a concern from the outside looking in. I think so far that's just been a young guy maybe being a little off. Not from a playing standpoint, just from a mental standpoint. That'll get fixed. But getting to the quarterback is a concern. 1 sack through 2 games, and it was a intentional grounding. They didn't really even get to put Avery on his back. Dom Orange is great. He takes 2 or 3 defenders every single play. That's setting up one-on-one matchups on the edge. And they've yet to show me that Ike Ezeagu or Tamatoa McDonough or any of these guys can be that D end that is able to at least be a 3 or 4 sack guy. And that's not asking a ton. But that's, I think, the biggest vulnerability right now.
And again, Scott, that's where Mark Gronowski looks very good. He looked good running the ball. He can make the defense pay on a broken play, something like that. Some of those design runs, harkening back to C.J. Beathard, probably the first quarterback, other than a handful of games of Brendan Sullivan last year, who can really hurt you with his feet. And I really liked the way he ran the ball. I'd like him to maybe take fewer hits in a game like the Albany game, but I have confidence in him that if a play breaks or if they need him to sneak the ball or gain a few yards, that he's going to be able to get that.
And that's a big difference that we saw, especially, Nate Stanley could quarterback sneak, but he wasn't really a running quarterback,
Right.
certainly. And Spencer was not either. Deacon Hill, of course, wasn't. Cade
Hit that
really
one against Nebraska. That was awesome.
yeah. It's just, but I think where Iowa's best punch is, no question, is offensive line. Its offensive line is as good as it's been in a long time. I mean, really since the days of Tristan Wirfs and Alaric Jackson, who were 2 starting NFL tackles, left tackles for that matter, and Tyler Linderbaum and those guys. So I think this line, you have 3 NFL guys. You have 4 that have played a lot or played winning football about. Left tackle's a little bit still a question mark, but if they need to line up and play slam ball, they feel like they can do that. And I'm not so sure that Iowa State can handle that if that's the 4-quarter fist fight. What I anticipate with Iowa State is they play traditionally the 3-3-5. That's not going to work in this game.
Okay.
Because if you play 3-3-5 against Iowa, good luck. You're going to give them the ball for 40 minutes.
Yes.
And you're going to be ground up into a meatball. What you're going to see is you're going to see a linebacker, come down, play 40 front, 4-2, and try to mix your coverages. Although their umbrella coverage is really tough for I think somebody like Gronowski to get past to throw deep. I think it'll be a challenge. So I think in this case, you're going to see them try to be physical at the point of attack to say, please beat us with your arm. You didn't show it last week. We think our defensive backs, who are very good, can compete with your passing game. That's going to be the critical element for Iowa State, is to be able to get Iowa in 3rd and long.
Yeah, absolutely. Iowa's running game looks very good against Albany. Kamari Moulton goes out after the first series. He's kind of the guy everybody had leaned on, but Iowa has a lot of depth in that running back room. Xavier Williams had a great game as a redshirt freshman. TJ Washington. Jazz Patterson's almost a guy that gets forgotten about. He had a huge game a couple of years ago in Ames in a win for Iowa. Absolutely. And again, the offensive line looked really good. So, Jake, I mean, if I was able to dictate tempo, play Ferentz ball, right? Yeah. Dictate tempo, limit mistakes, limit penalties, win the time of possession. Matt Campbell and Kirk Ferentz are very similar, and that's the kind of game that Iowa State can beat a lot of teams in. Can they beat an Iowa team in that kind of a game?
I think they can, and I give them a better shot this year than most years, but I wouldn't say that's the ideal way that you want to go into the game. I think when the game is shortened, you're probably more likely to be putting the game in the hands of Rocco Becht at the end, which, like Scott was saying, it's 7 in one of those situations, but that's not a guarantee every single time. So I just think Iowa would be foolish to not ugly the game up, especially when when that's what they're best at. They've proven it time and time again in this game that that's how you win this game. And I don't necessarily think it's over if it goes that way. And it kind of goes to what I know Hassel said that today, that there's a lot more avenues that Iowa State can win this game, and the path for Iowa is more narrow. And that's where, like, if this game gets into a shootout, I'm obviously going to love the chances because you don't – it's hard to envision Iowa winning a shootout in this game. Yeah. And that's where if you can try and get it into a track meet, try and do it. But you know as well as anybody, that is almost nearly impossible to do against Phil Parker.
Yeah, it feels like there are three potential outcomes. Iowa wins a close game, Iowa State wins a close game, or Iowa State wins going away. It doesn't feel like Iowa is capable of blowing out this Iowa State team. But, again, this is making a lot of assumptions after seeing a very...
Is this a flashback to 2021?
Exactly, right? I mean, we're making a lot of assumptions based on not seeing very much football, on seeing essentially a quarter of Mark Gronowski being allowed to play. You saw Kirk Ferentz kind of lock that down, as we've seen so many times in his career, and say, hey, we can win this game running the ball. We'll run it down their throat. We don't need to get cute. We don't need to be fancy. We don't need to get anybody hurt. Let's just get out of here with a win, and that's what we saw. The shoe's on the other foot a little bit this year. It's kind of everything is kind of flipped. The world has turned upside down. Often Iowa comes in with more hype, more national attention, more confidence, and it finds itself in a dogfight with an Iowa State team that's deemed by most people as the lesser team. This year, the Cyclones are flying high. They're the national darling. They have a Heisman candidate. And Iowa's this team that everybody has all these questions about. Iowa State's fan base is supremely confident going into this game for the first time in, like, my lifetime. Does that mean anything, Scott, or is it just fodder for the fans?
The good part about this, and I mean this seriously, it's all about fans. You have true, in reality, two awesome head coaches who know how to do it the right way and put themselves in position. Kirk Ferentz, for his entire career, every time adversity is struck and you think, oh, there's just no way, this team's not getting off the mat, it's dead, and boom, that's when they flip the switch, and they are as tough as you can get. Matt Campbell, albeit does it differently, and it's not like copying the blueprint or anything like that, but it's the same level of effectiveness because he took a program we all know that occasionally had a little bit of spikes, but it never really done anything, and he's turned it into one of the best programs in the Big 12, and they take the same approach. They're developmental. They don't make excuses. They push forward, and the best part about, yes, they give us nothing to write about, but nothing to talk about.
Right.
But who cares? And it's all about what happens on Saturday and then the next day. And, listening to Matt this week and listening to Kirk, for 20 plus years, Matt's just like, I'm just worried about practice today. And I know it's boring and it's repetitive, but that's how you win games.
Yeah.
That's how you beat good teams, and that's how both teams have been so successful. So, fans, everybody, the momentum and everything. I'm not saying that's confidence and momentum are two different things.
Right.
The confidence is Iowa State has earned the right to have confidence.
Yes.
They beat a really good team, their number 2 rival over in Dublin. Great. They earned that win. They played really well against a very good FCS program. They earned that confidence. Iowa doesn't have as much confidence, even though it played well in spurts. But the fans, go hot and cold. They just worry about the task at hand.
How do you feel about this, Jake? I mean, I haven't seen an Iowa State fan base legitimately this confident going into this game, I think, in my whole
terrifying.
life.
It's always terrifying. And that's why I've made a rule for myself. And there's probably some flaws to it, but I'm making my prediction Tuesday, and I'm not changing it. I'm watching all of my film for the other team, and because I'm a fan, I admit it. As of now, I predicted a 13-point win. Right now, I'm feeling like, oh my god, if Rocco if he misses that crosser in the first, and Nampa takes it back, it could be a 20-point loss, and you definitely feel the butterflies as a fan. But I can't imagine the players and the coaches, I guess, okay, maybe not the coaches, but the players, I can't imagine they feel any different jitters other than normal game day jitters. Campbell, on the other hand, if it's tight in the fourth quarter, it's got to be pretty hard to not like, oh, okay, Datrone Young and we benched Brock Purdy, the best quarterback in school history. And it is probably different as a staff when you're dealing with that. But the players, Rocco Beck doesn't know who Steele Jantz is.
Right.
That's the end of it.
I mean, fans, anybody that's lived through that, they remember Steele Jantz's 3rd and 18 and to win against, 44-41, or we're talking CJ Beathard. You're talking about some of these fans or some of these players were 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah. Gabe Burkle told me that.
Yeah.
I asked him what he remembered about the 2011 game, and he's like, not much. I was 8.
Yeah, right. And so that's history for them. They're about the now, and they should be, and that's all good. But I tell you what, that tomorrow and probably tonight, I don't know that either coach will get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
Because, Ferentz really gets into, he worries a lot. And, I was told this by another assistant coach that, like in the 21 game when they're up here and it's 10 versus 9, that Kirk was like pacing in the hotel and he was really nervous. And one of the coaches, but the assistants were pretty confident, but he was really nervous because he always is. And they're like, hey, we got this. If you're like this, what do you think they're doing right now? And, they're puckered up, and saying other things I can't say on this podcast. But, so it's just kind of like everybody knows the intensity and the importance of this. And Kirk has told me before, he understands the pressure of it. He lost his first 4.
Yeah.
And he felt it. He knows it. And, when you're talking about 90 combined kids or something like that on both teams, they're from the state of Iowa. They grew up with this series. They don't remember Iowa winning 15 in a row.
No.
They remember these games coming down white knuckle rides. So they know what's at stake. They know the pride. And some of them, especially in this market, they played with each other.
Yeah.
They locked arms. They played against one another several times.
Yeah.
They know what's at stake because they don't want to lose to that guy. Because he knows when in Christmas vacation, they're going to talk about it.
And it does feel like it took Ferentz a couple of years to really kind of embrace this game and what it means for the fans, and that it's not just another game. It almost feels the same way about Matt Campbell, too, right, for those first couple of years. Jake, for Campbell's legacy, I mean, he's already done enough to be one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach in Iowa State history. He's checking things off the list each and every year, but he hasn't beaten Iowa in Ames. This would be big to get that monkey off the back, not just for the trajectory of this season, but for his legacy as a Cyclone coach.
100%. He has beaten, if you go to the old Big 12 with Oklahoma and Texas, he beat every single one of those programs home and away. Yep. He's beaten every single Big 12 program right now except Arizona and Arizona State. He'll probably beat Arizona later this month.
Yeah.
All that's left is to beat Iowa in Ames and win a Big 12 championship.
Yeah, beyond beating Iowa in Ames, it gets like really lofty things.
There's no more, can you beat a top 5? He did that in his second year. So that does make me think there's more pressure because Campbell knows he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it since he was 2011. He was probably a defensive coordinator at Toledo during that. That's a long time ago.
For Tim Beckman, by the way, who really shouldn't have been a head coach at Illinois. But I will say this, that we're almost a half hour into this. The Kirk Ferentz can set the Big Ten record for wins.
Yes.
I mean, beat Woody Hayes' record with his 105th win. I mean, it's unreal that he is at this level, or 106, I'm sorry, 206. But the fact is, he doesn't want to get that against UMass.
No.
The players definitely don't want to get that against UMass.
How deflating will that be?
They want to get it against a rival.
Yes.
And they want to get it in Ames. They want to get it when it matters to everybody. And again, going back to the history, 0-4 to start. He heard it a lot. I mean, even in their 0-2 season, which was the best season that they ever had, they're up 24-7 at halftime at home, and they lose to Dan McCarty 36-31. That was a tough loss for a lot of people, and people were saying he doesn't care enough about it.
Yeah,
he doesn't concentrate on it. Well, he is all in on these games. He brings in people. They bring trophies. Well, they don't have it this year, but they bring trophies out to practice. They play the fight song in the locker room and the weight room. They are all in on these games. It's really important. And for him to win it and get a record against Iowa State, matters to him. If it's against, it'll be anticlimactic and just a footnote if it happens against UMass.
Yeah, it'd be great to do that in Jack Trice Stadium tomorrow afternoon. And Scott, you've talked a little bit this week about the trajectory of the season and kind of what this game means to each team's season. And certainly for Iowa State, that everything will still be out there with a loss to Iowa, because the way to get to a CFP in the Big 12 is to go win the Big 12 championship. That's not necessarily the case for Iowa. I mean, the odds of Iowa getting to a Big Ten championship game are pretty low, but the odds of Iowa playing themselves into a position where they could get an at-large bid are a little bit better. But this game is important for that. It's not just the Big Ten anymore. This game is going to mean a lot to Iowa's season if they want to do some of these big things.
This is the first time that I can actually say that this game is more important to Iowa than Iowa State.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, but just specifically, not emotionally. That doesn't, I'll throw that out. It's about the season. If Iowa loses this game, you figure if Iowa goes 10-2, they go to the playoff because their schedule's really difficult and they play in a league where you can be, the fourth team in your league and get in. And if they go 10-2, they're going to get in because they have, you compare their schedule with Michigan, it is night and day. Michigan plays nobody till Ohio State. However, if you lose this game, then you're going to have to go 8-1 in the Big Ten to get to that level. And if you're playing three teams that were in the playoff, plus other rivalry games on the road, and oh, by the way, USC looked pretty good, scored 73 points. Yeah. They're playing them on the road. That is a very difficult thing to try to navigate. So in that, this year, this game matters to Iowa because if you lose and you go 9-3, you're not getting in the playoff. You're going to go have a wonderful bowl trip. Iowa State can lose this game, but still compete for the Big 12 championship, because competing for the Big 12 championship against the teams that it competes against, it's eye level now. Arizona State, Oklahoma State, which was terrible last year, by the way.
Right.
Kansas State, TCU, Baylor, they're
Utah.
Utah. They're all really good, interesting programs, but they're all at Iowa State's level. You're not having an Ohio State. You don't have Texas anymore. You don't have Oklahoma anymore. But, going back to 2017, which was the year Matt Campbell really took that step, Iowa State has the second most wins in the Big 12 behind Oklahoma.
Jeez.
Over that span.
Crazy.
So out of current teams, they're number one. So all that's really left for them is to stamp that as Big 12 championship, and that matters a lot. I think they're more than capable of doing that, and I don't think this game, other than for ego and pride and the sheer desire to beat a team and beat your rival, I think that's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter in the pursuit of that outcome.
Yeah. That said, Jake, a loss tomorrow deflates the balloon a little bit on Iowa State's early part of the season.
Yeah, I agree with Scott halfway. I think if you look at it from the big picture, there's no doubt this game is more important for Iowa than it is Iowa State. At large shouldn't even be a thought at Iowa State. It shouldn't be a thought for any Big 12 program. You can hope for it, but everybody in that locker room knows the only path to the college football playoff is winning the Big 12. And if you're in Arlington, you're not thinking about, well, if we lose, we got a shot. So from that perspective, yes. But I do think inside the stadium tomorrow, it will feel like there's more pressure on Iowa State. And maybe that's the home crowd.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the streak. But I think twofold, I think you can make the argument that from both ways it is that. But then again, if you lose, you have to go to Arkansas State on the road next week. Probably not going to be as juiced up. So this is a big game for momentum purposes, because if you win, who knows? You could be 7-0 when Arizona State comes to town, and on I believe that's November 1st.
Let me ask you this, Jake.
Yeah.
And that is, next week, I mean, first of all, playing Arkansas State on the road is something that
All Big 12 schools
I
need to
think
stop.
it's beneath an Iowa State, especially when you have a 60,000 seat stadium. Go play another FCS team or something like
Couldn't
that.
agree more.
I don't care. But you're talking about three fairly emotional games. I mean, you're playing your two biggest rivals in their first three games. South Dakota at home. I mean, it's a
Home
regional.
opener.
It's a home opener. It's a regional game. There is going to be a natural letdown, win or lose tomorrow.
100%.
But win, that's where I think a coach like Matt Campbell really comes in, which is don't get too high. You're going on the road, and they do have athletes. They're not a good team, but they have good athletes. And you go down there and you piddle around, and next thing you know, you're in a game, and So, I'm not asking you to look past the Cyhawk game, but really, is there anything there that to my line of thought that there's a big trap game ahead on the horizon?
100%. The good news is there's a bye on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a trap game in that sense. The other benefit is, it was not a benefit at the time, but you've got the tape from the 2023 Ohio game, and Campbell can go up there and say, show the film from 2022. We beat Ohio 42-10 or whatever that game was, turn around, lost to them next year. Rocco Becht was the quarterback for that. So I would think that message could get by, but it's human nature.
Yeah.
It is human nature that I personally will not be as jacked up. I will not wake up the day of the Arkansas State game with adrenaline at 5:30 in the morning like I will tomorrow. And that is definitely a concern when you talk about playing a game in the metropolis of Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Yeah, we've talked about how Iowa State did such a good job coming back from Ireland, but yeah, this will be a whole nother challenge after a major rivalry game.
When you're talking about running on adrenaline and you're talking about young people, and you go to Ireland, you're playing Kansas State and Farmageddon, whether it's allowed to say that or not, it should be.
It's Farmageddon on Iowa everywhere.
Let it roll, man. It's what everybody wants. And then, okay, now you're out. You're back from Ireland. You're out to prove you got your first game at home. I mean, look how it affected Kansas State. But you're still on an adrenaline rush. Then you're playing your in-state rival. It's a big game. You know it's a big game. You haven't beaten them since 2011 at home. You're on an adrenaline rush. There's a natural tendency to, and that's where Matt Campbell has to come in with the Ohio references and playing Curtis Rourke or whatever, and showcase that, hey, we're not always going to be at our best, but we got to have our best preparation so that when we're not at our best, we could still compete and win the way we want to.
Yeah, just like going to Stillwater in basketball. Or I'm sure for Iowa men's basketball, it's going to Rutgers is probably about it. They've gotten a little better, but
well, it used to be Iowa State going to Stillwater was death.
Yeah.
And the old, up until, I don't know, for 10 years ago, whatever, it's like that was like guaranteed you're losing. It's like Iowa going to Purdue, Yeah, I mean, you could probably name the Big 12 it's been such in flux, over the last few years.
Well, we talked a little bit about legacy with the coaches with a game like this, but players' legacy is made in this Cyhawk game often as well. The reason we know who Steel Jance is because he won this game, right? The biggest black mark on Brad Banks' career is probably those couple of fumbles in Kinnick Stadium in 2002. I was a student. That's probably the worst in-person loss I've ever experienced as a fan. That was awful. Mark Gronowski gets one chance at this, Scott. He gets one Cyhawk game, and regardless of what happens for the rest of the season or doesn't happen for the rest of the season, a lot of his legacy as an Iowa Hawkeye is going to be built tomorrow, be it good or bad. This is a guy who suffered from nerves in his first game. There's a lot on the line tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see how he makes his way through this.
It's a really important from a legacy standpoint and how you perform, no question. Some fans will gradually move on to the Big Ten games, but how he performs will be how he is remembered, and that's in all rivalry games. And I think in this situation, it is really critical for him to perform at a level that makes us forget about last week.
Yeah.
That last week was the aberration. Last week was just, it was just nerves. I had cramps. I didn't feel, I was all over the place. I do know, talking to somebody who was sitting by his parents, his parents were like, wow, this crowd's really tough. Well, get used to it. This is the difference when you play in the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
There's no try hards. You're done with that,
especially when you're making the money you're making.
That NIL, I've always been pretty kind, I suppose, to athletes. I don't get on them that much,
right?
But when you are, moving from an FCS program to a Big Ten program, and you're making $2 million a year. Guess what? You're gonna get a lot of feedback.
Yes,
and if you don't perform well, rightly so, because you're making more than you would as a rookie quarterback in the NFL.
You're making 50 times more than we are, so it's different than this little 19-year-old from down the streets coming to play at the local college. It's different now when they're
and then
millionaires.
Jake for Rocco Becht. I mean, he's already building himself a resume. I asked a question on Murph and Andy earlier this year. Like, what does he need to do to be on the Mount Rushmore of Iowa State quarterbacks? And they both said he's already there. Now, how high up on that list can he get? Can he pass Brock Purdy? I mean, again, he's doing things that no other quarterback has done. He's already done things that no other quarterback has done. This game isn't going to make or break his legacy as an Iowa State quarterback, but this is probably his last chance to beat Iowa in Jack Trice Stadium. This is a big game for him as well.
Yeah, no question. I mean, if he can end his career going 2-1, and there is a shot he comes back next year. We'll see what that looks like. But if he could end his career 2-1 against Iowa, when Brock Purdy was 0-2 against Iowa, that's going to be the debate, I think, all year long. Fair or not fair? I think Purdy probably gets the edge still, just because he was the first one. And it's going to be hard to separate his NFL career from his college career. We've seen that a lot with a lot of different athletes. Purdy was the end of a drought.
Yeah.
When was the last quarterback? Austin Arnaud was a good 4-year quarterback, but he wasn't great. You had to go all the way back to Seneca Wallace before.
Yeah.
So Purdy will always get that bump. If we're talking, like, who do you want with the ball in your hands in the fourth quarter? I'm taking Rocco. That's as simple as it is, but I still think Purdy has first mantle on the Mount Rushmore, and Rocco has to do a little more than just win the Cy-Hawk game to do it. It might be a Big 12 championship or getting there again.
Yeah.
That could do the trick.
What do you think about that, Scott?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at, I mean, Purdy won the Fiesta Bowl. They were a top 10 team. They went to the championship game too. Seneca Wallace obviously was, for the first half of the preseason was phenomenal. Austin Arnaud was really good. There are other quarterbacks who were good too. He's probably on the Mount Rushmore, though. I mean, no question about it. He's had and what he was able to do last week, 19-20 passing.
Which is wild because, I feel like we've almost forgotten how he became Iowa State's starting quarterback. That gambling thing is so far in the rearview mirror. But coming into that season, not only was he not the starting quarterback, it was Hunter Deckers. Going into that first game, and I don't remember if he and J.J. Cole both played in week one there, but it was like he hadn't even taken that job.
Possessions.
Right, exactly. And now we see Rocco Becht, and again, he's like in the Heisman conversation. He's the scariest guy on the team. A lot of people saying he's the best player on the field in tomorrow's game, and yet he's a guy who, 2.5 years ago, nobody had ever heard of him.
No.
It's wild to see what he has done.
He was Anthony Beck's son.
Thank you, beautiful wife Judy.
Yeah, thanks to Judy Downs for the refill on beers.
Yes.
Yeah.
$4 Bud Lights and Buffalo Wild Wings. Get them.
That's the crazy part about Rocco is I was actually talking about this going into last week. I was trying to think of the what if the gambling stuff happened 6 months earlier and Deckers gets thrown off the team in April and Aiden Bauman is still on the team and Rocco never gets it is crazy how it all worked out and that's why it's so weird because Rocco was not Rocco in the 2023 Cy-Hawk game. They didn't trust him to throw the ball at all. It was after that Ohio game when they realized if we keep pounding our head into the wall, we're gonna go 3-9 again.
Let Rocco cook, right?
Yeah, let Rocco cook. The air raid from there.
Yeah, exactly.
And Rocco has completely transformed himself physically, mentally from that point to where it's like if this guy can. If he can just go out there and be decent, the team will have a shot. So now it's like, is he the best quarterback in the Big 12? It's certainly a question. There's a lot of good ones, but I would not say that I expected that when it was Rocco versus J.J. Cole in fall camp 2 years ago.
And then when we're talking legacy, Scott, and this is maybe a bit of a winding road to get here, but follow me for a second. I was quarterback, how they evaluate quarterbacks. Again, they've done the things that you wanted them to do. They went out and got Cade McNamara. They've gotten the money that you needed to get big name quarterbacks, to get the big guys in the transfer portal and to bring them in. And for whatever reason, it's not working. And I don't know what that is, because Kirk Ferentz knows more about football than I will ever know. He's a very smart. He's about to become the Big Ten's winningest coach of all time. Tim Lester was a great quarterback and seems to be a great quarterback coach. Again, I don't want to throw Gronowski in with Caden McNamara just yet because we're one game into this thing, but it's easy to see fans say, man, what the hell's wrong with the evaluation process on quarterbacks when it comes to Iowa? Because as we enter the NIL and transfer portal era, they've done all the right things except get the results that fans have wanted. And so it feels like this game, because I've heard you say a couple of times, if we see Mark Gronowski that we saw in the first quarter against Albany, it's time to start looking elsewhere, right? It's time to see what Hank Brown can do. These seasons, as you said, it's not try hard. These games do count, and this season is this season. You don't have time to kind of screw around and let Mark Gronowski find himself. You got to make a move if a new move needs to be made. And so this game really feels like it's going to say a lot about Iowa's quarterback evaluation. Whether that's fair or not, that is how fans are going to feel.
All right. A lot of things here, Andrew. And I guess I'll start by saying, let's not overreact yet.
Yeah.
Let's wait till tomorrow to overreact.
Okay.
What happens with Carolines?
What happens tomorrow will determine what we think about Iowa quarterback.
Yes.
If he's had a nice game or a good game or a bad game, then tomorrow will determine whether what we think is, hey, he's overmatched going to the next level, or, you know what, he bounced back, he played pretty well, let's let it roll. There's a different evaluator in there now. The previous evaluator was bad at evaluating quarterbacks. When you look at every single quarterback from 2017 through 24, every single freshman that they grabbed went in the transfer portal with eligibility.
Yeah.
And a lot of them weren't any good.
No.
I mean, Spencer's a different guy because I think Spencer, they could have done things differently to make Spencer look better. The rest of them are not Big Ten quarterbacks. So the evaluation, I'm not going to say Tim Lester is the same as Brian Ferentz in this regard.
And it's funny because it's almost more frustrating that all these Iowa quarterbacks go and are no good anywhere else. It would almost be better if one of them went somewhere else and was
Jake
great.
Rudock,
like the receivers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Jake Rudock. That was a good one.
Like Charlie Jones.
Yeah, right.
man.
But you know what I mean? At least then you could say as a fan, well, they had the guy, it just didn't work out for one reason or another. It feels like right now, everybody they're recruiting, everybody they're bringing in, just kind of sucks.
That's nice. They did.
On that note.
Yeah, wow. I don't know how to respond to that.
I said it.
I'll say this, that, their evaluations they've missed on some evaluations. And some of them were good where they weren't alone, like Deuce Hogan, that Baylor, and I mean, Georgia was going to fly the helicopter into the 50-yard line at their high school. I went to the high school to meet with him in Texas. Baylor was there the same day I was, still trying to swing him, and that one was a surprise.
Yeah.
Other ones like James Reesar was not the best evaluation in the whole wide world. I think Tim Lester's a different guy because I think Hank Brown is pretty good.
Yeah.
And
it does feel like that room is taking a big step up.
And Hecklinski is a pretty good, Jeremy Hecklinski is a pretty good third guy. And so they have a quarterback evaluating quarterbacks instead of an offensive line coach evaluating quarterbacks. That's a big difference. I'm not going to say they're the same right now.
Right.
But for Iowa fans, you're looking at it saying it's the same because I'm seeing the same blasted thing.
Yes.
And now, again, I saw the game. I was there, last week while I was writing about Florida State and Alabama, by the way. And I'm going, oh, my God, we got to do this again?
Yes.
I've just seen this.
Yes.
I'm writing about it. I'm tired of writing about this. Then later on, it's like, it's all right, I suppose. And that's kind of my line of thought. He has a track record, though.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't want to just say throw him out, because he's thrown for 93 career touchdowns. He's been an FCS Player of the Year. He's led the teams to 2 championship wins, another championship game, another semifinalist. He's done it before, so it's not like he's just bad. And let's give him one more game. Now tomorrow, if he's bad, shoot every arrow at him.
Yeah, right.
So let's give him one more game.
Well, and then you had the Reese Vanderzee injury, which was late in the week last week. didn't, and again, they had a very vanilla game plan. There was a lot of hype about this wide receiver room coming into the season. It was almost a point when Addison Estranga made his first catch in the first quarter on Saturday. I was like, oh, yeah, he's still here. We hadn't really talked much about Iowa's tight ends. How do you feel about the passing game as a whole, assuming that Gronowski can kind of get his head right and be the player that we expected to see? How do you feel about Iowa's pass game as a whole when it comes to receivers, pass protection, tight ends, that kind of thing?
I think it's much improved from the receiving end. They were open last week, and that's probably what was frustrating is I saw them they were running good routes. They were open. Quarterback didn't get him the ball, and he was hesitant. Even on some other plays, he was hesitant, and that
be the way
probably
here for a second.
Frustrating as anything, I would say. Pass protection was fine last year. It's good this year. They gave up only 16 sacks and 13 games. That's really a good number. I don't have any concerns for them on that standpoint. And I'll say this: we're spending a lot of time about quarterback and everything like that. Their best punch is running the ball, and they can shove it up anybody's ear or whatever orifice you want to say. Anybody.
Yeah.
They can, Jennings Dunker and Logan Jones and Bo Stevens are as good as anybody in the country at their positions. And if they can get, and the defender that would scare me if I'm coaching Iowa is Dominic Orange.
Yeah.
But
Big citrus.
But I'll tell you this, that he's one guy, and you double team him like you normally would, and don't try to run a wham block with a walk on tight end like they did last year at the goal line. You respect him. You do that, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And I think that's what we're overlooking here is line of scrimmage wins a lot of football games.
Yeah. We've seen Iowa win a lot of those games.
True. Yeah.
Iowa's got a good line of scrimmage. And Jake, we saw Iowa State's defense, which has looked pretty good, and John Heacock is a very good coach. But they struggled a bit against Kansas State, giving up a couple of those big plays. If Gronowski does find himself tomorrow, I'm not saying Iowa's going to turn into air raid or anything, but there is some susceptibility on the back end of Iowa State's defense.
Yeah, the recipe for Iowa is if they're establishing the run, if they're getting 5-6 yards a pop, and then you set up the play action. And Kaijon Cummings-Coleman is the safety for Iowa State. He is the reason that they moved Jeremiah Cooper from safety, where he was all Big 12, to cornerback, because they thought so highly of this Cummings-Coleman. But he bit on a play bad against K-State. He did it a couple times last week as well. If I was running the ball and they're pulling the safeties up like they're coached to do, that's where if Gronowski can make a play over the top, that's what could change the game. Not necessarily do I think Iowa's going to go run for 300 yards and win the game because they can't be stopped. It's more so if they're able to run the ball and set up other stuff within the offense to make life easier for Gronowski and the receivers.
Just a few minutes left here at Buffalo Wild Wings on Merle Hay with Iowa Everywhere. This is Hawks on Tap. $4 Bud Lights today, tomorrow.
And they're cold.
They are cold. They're
Yes,
fantastic,
they are.
right? And I didn't have a beer all day, and so this is hitting really well right now on a long Friday. I appreciate you guys being here with us. Some bigger picture things, guys. Big noon kickoff, Barstool Sports in town. This is the third of the last 6 games in this series where one of the national college pregame shows is in Ames for this game. Scott, you talked about how much this game means and kind of how these fan bases get into it and how cool this rivalry is. But it also feels like it's on tentative ground as we move forward. I think the contract is through 27. According to Jamie Pollard, no talks yet about beyond that. They can't let this game go away, right?
You gotta be careful.
I would see. It's funny because even as I said that, I was like, "Oh, you naive son of a bitch!
Yeah.
Haven't you seen what's happened? Like, of course they can let this go away.
You can't put Stanford in the ACC.
Exactly right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there, and
This means so much to this state. I mean, the way Iowa Everywhere has embraced it, the way the fan base has embraced
our
it.
best week, yeah.
It absolutely has. I mean, there's a reason that we put it all on this week. There's a reason that we're here tonight. This is a great thing for the state. The RVTV thing that those guys have done has been fantastic. It means a lot. It sucks that there's a chance that it goes away.
Unfortunately, that's the reality with college football and college athletics these days, that that things change.
Yeah.
And rivalries are among them. And when I mentioned at the top or earlier that Iowa needs this win more, Iowa State needs this game more. Because Iowa does have 3 other trophy games.
Yeah.
Its most played rival, its oldest rival is Minnesota. Wisconsin, I ranked it as the highest of importance as rivalry for Iowa because they played 9 times as ranked teams.
Yep.
The series is 49-47-2. They played 7 times for the championship of the West Division. And then Nebraska, Iowa is a fever pitch.
Yes.
They hate each other. It's probably the most hated rivalry Iowa has. Plus all the other Big Ten teams. They're playing Oregon. They're playing Ohio State. They're playing Michigan. They're playing Penn State. Plus Northwestern is a big rival. So you've got all this stuff, whereas everything's in flux for Iowa State. I am thrilled to pieces that Kansas State has become an important rivalry. Please, for the love of God, embrace it.
Farmageddon.
It pisses me off that they're not embracing
Makes me so mad.
Absolutely.
It's Farmageddon.
There should be a
Everybody
trophy.
loved it.
Yeah.
It's like, I had my son design this trophy.
Yes.
And I called it the Reaper. And it's like,
It's so cool.
It's like, dudes, lean into it.
Yes.
They love it. Why not? What's the problem here?
Exactly.
You
especially for Iowa State, who doesn't have a lot of these.
Because teams on your border have left for different conferences. You're not gonna. You don't play anybody consistently now. Lean into this.
Yes.
Kansas State wants to too.
Yes.
Kansas State believes the same thing you do.
It's good for both schools and the Big 12.
It's like this. You saw it over in Dublin.
Yeah.
The ratings are great. People are talking about Farmageddon, not derisive. They
Right.
love it. They're
Yes.
embracing
Yes.
it. Do it. Shut up and do it. And so, but I look at
And
it.
that's how I feel about this game.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's the same thing. As long as Kirk Ferentz is coaching, this game will continue. He believes in it as much as anybody does. He doesn't want to get rid of it. There is the SEC Big Ten thing, but Iowa is also in that situation with Kentucky, with Louisville, and Clemson, South Carolina, and Georgia Tech, Washington State, Oregon. There's 7 different teams that have non-conference games within their state. As long as Matt Campbell is the coach and Iowa State is competitive, there's 0 reason to get rid of this because you've got 2 great programs, 2 teams that are competing at a high level. Let's keep it. 10 years ago, and I made this point in an earlier show, 10 years ago when Iowa State was like 3-9 and 2-10, and Iowa wins and Ames in the year they went 12-0, and then there were a lot of Iowa State fans making fun of them for their schedule. And I'm like, okay, if that's the case, then drop them.
Right.
Because if you're going to get dissed for your schedule by the team you're beating who's bad, then shut it down. And there was, Iowa had an arrangement almost ready with Notre Dame, but they wanted to put this game on a pause for a year, and they said no, it was going to Soldier Field. So I think overall, yes, keep this game going. We're not going to be naive and say that it's they're not going to have to take time off. Keep it going.
Yeah.
But and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, if I want to look at it from 2 different ways. If there is a way that it continues, I think it's this scheduling agreement between the Power 4 that has been floated around lately, and maybe the greater powers come to their senses, like, all right, if you've already got a protected rivalry within this, we'll just do this every year. And then from that, we'll require Ohio State to play LSU or whatever you want to do with it. Do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily. I don't know what the future is, but it needs to be played. And
it does.
And I'm firmly on the record of national championships, playoffs, they're fun to talk about, but in this state, how much is that really going to actually impact us? In our state, it's about the games on Saturdays, and we want the best possible games on Saturdays.
We never had to worry about this up until the playoff actually existed. But in reality, truth serum, is Iowa or Iowa State going to win a national title?
No.
No.
Nope.
it would take
It'd take Michael Vick,
Yeah.
like showing up at one of the.
You'd
It'd
have
take
to-
a quarterback like that.
you'd have to have a schedule like Notre Dame did, or I mean Penn State did last year in the playoff, where you're playing SMU and Boise State, and then you're playing
right.
Even but it would just take like you threading a needle in a perfect scenario for it to happen. So therefore, kind of like every other year before this. That's why these games matter. That's why Iowa was fortunate that the Big Ten agreed to allow them to play 3 rivalry games, because they all matter so much to Iowa. Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Nebraska. A lot of people are excited here.
Yeah,
It's the Chiefs game.
No, it's not the Chiefs. It's
The Johnson Dragons with an interception.
Johnson and Dowling.
Number
so.
20. Congratulations on whoever
Yeah.
number 20 on Johnson is with the interception.
I'm an Urbano guy, so I hate both those teams.
There you go. But at the end of the year, if Iowa is 10-2 and loses the first round CFP game, if Iowa State's 9-3 and goes to the Alamo Bowl and wins it, that's all great.
Yeah.
But is it going to be fulfilling if Iowa State is not playing Iowa?
Right.
And if Iowa's not playing Iowa State because Iowa is playing Vanderbilt or Kentucky or Mississippi versus Iowa. To me, that's why these rivalries matter. That's why tomorrow matters.
Yep.
It's about, and it's different where I live versus here.
Yeah, it
I
is.
will say
It
that.
is.
In Iowa City, it's different.
No doubt.
But I would say, like in Des Moines, the most populous metropolitan by far and away in the state, that going to church on Sunday if you go,
Yep.
Monday at the office, or going,
Brutal.
it's like your team loses
Yes.
and you're like, oh, I don't want to
Brutal.
go.
Glad I
You hear
work
it
at
all
the
year.
bubble.
You hear it all year.
Yeah. But, in Iowa City, it's a big game.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But it kind of goes into the Big Ten right after that.
11 a.m. kick inside Jack Trice Stadium tomorrow. You guys like the 11 a.m. kick for this game? Kind of get it going.
So it's probably good from a fan perspective, not if you're the fans, but from a fan control perspective. Less time for binge drinking before the game. After the game, you're out of the jurisdiction of
Cyclone fans
security.
will be out of their cars at halftime. So.
They better be back in.
Will they come back? Who knows?
It's a nice day tomorrow, so the Suckup End Zone Club should be full in the seats. But when I was younger, I didn't go to my first Cyhawk football game until I think I was a junior in high school at Jack Trice Stadium. So my family had a tailgating bus with like 6 or 7 other families growing up.
That's awesome.
And I went to every game. We had season tickets. But I was never allowed to go to the Cyhawk game because when you have these 7 families, every game it's good, people drink and whatever. But the Cyhawk game, you would have someone's brother bring a coworker, and that coworker has a cousin come along, and all of a sudden that cousin is blackout drunk, getting arrested in front of the tailgating bus, and so it's probably good that it's an 11 a.m. kick opposed to a night game.
Before we get out of here, I just want to do some keys to victory for each team. I wrote a few down. Just to quickly get your guys' opinion on this. For Iowa, start fast, score early. I'm not sure Iowa can come back on an Iowa State team if they get down early. It didn't work out well last year when they got up 13-0, but I think for the most part, if Iowa scores early, gets off to a good start, they feel pretty good about this game.
I guess I look at it that it's more about defense than offense for Iowa. I believe that Taylor Mauser is going to have a very good script against Iowa's defense, and they're going to be successful in implementing it. It's traditional that Iowa, because it plays, a fairly vanilla type defense that's recognizable, that teams can kind of move up the field on their first drive.
You know a lot.
And for me, the key is for Iowa, can you get to the end of the first quarter and only be down 3-0?
Okay.
Or, something negligible. Weather the early storm, because they traditionally do better second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way down drive on defense once they kind of see it, the first batter. So for me, it's on defense, it's that, because, yes, I think anybody, and Iowa respects certainly, we haven't brought up Ben Bramer.
Yeah, right.
We talk about Rocco Beck being the best player on the field. No, Ben Bramer is the best player on the field. He is a first-round tight end.
Wow.
He is the next 87 for Kansas City.
Wow.
I will make that prediction. I go to the combine every year. I write a lot of NFL draft.
Yeah.
He is 87 in red and white.
Killer Trav.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know if he's
High
going
praise.
I don't know if
He
he's going to
may
be
be-
with like Tate McRae or somebody
Yeah,
like
he may
that.
not marry the most
Yeah.
famous woman on the planet.
Well,
but-
what's crazy is I agree that Bramer, when I watch him, he looks like a top 3-round draft pick. And there's points where I'm like, is he even Iowa State's best tight end? Because
Yeah, Burkle's good.
Burkle,
Yeah.
when you factor in the blocking and all of that, and maybe even some of the clutch, and that's not I think Bramer is the better one, but the fact that I'm able to talk about which one's better is really high praise for how Mauser has built up that tight ends room.
Well, it's like, like a few years ago when you had Chase Allen and you had, Charlie Kolar. I mean, they were both really good, no question about it. Kolar was a little bit better.
Yeah, you can tell when you watch.
And I look at these two and I'm like, Burkle is your kind of traditional tight end type, end-line tight end, and whereas you could do whatever you want with Ben Bramer. He is a mismatched nightmare for any defense because Iowa is going to play a mix between a 4-3 and a 4-2-5. If you put a linebacker on him, he's going to be able to torch him in the passing game, even though they're going to play more zone, but you still got to match up in that zone. And then likewise, if you put the safety or the cash back on him, he's big enough to post up. He's just got that, he's a difficult mismatch for anybody. Burkle is your traditional guy. He's good too. I'm not going to dismiss that. And I'm sure Iowa's probably going, damn, we didn't recruit that guy.
You're right.
He's just right up the road. From
Yeah,
us.
20 minutes
Cedar Rapids
away.
Prairie.
Another key for Iowa, dictate tempo, establish that run, and kind of have the game played at your pace. Stop Iowa State from having any big plays like they gave up last year. That's big. And then let Gronowski cook. I mean, he's said this. I don't expect them to have some crazy different offense than we've ever seen. But he said, hey, I need to be able to sling it a little bit. I need to have that effort mentality. And as a fan, I want to see that from him. This is what we paid for. Let's see it a little bit. If we're not going to see it now, when are we going to see it?
Right. I've said all along that this game and the Indiana game this is why you brought Mark Gronowski in here.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to just be able to play Ferentz ball and punt, play field position and strangle them like a boa constrictor, and especially against Indiana. They have a different offense. It's going to be really hard to stop. But it's going to be important for him to be able to and I think the team needs him to be good. They need for that confidence. But I will say this, though. As good as Iowa State has been in these one-score games, and they have all the confidence in the world with Rocco Beck, Iowa is equally comfortable in those positions where we've seen it, over and over and over again, where you've seen, hey, they're not afraid to just say, let's just drag it down in the mud, and we're going to get physical and nasty, and we're going to play field position football, and we're going to kick your ass until your nose bleeds. And that's the way Iowa loves to play, and if it's 13-10 in the fourth quarter, they don't feel the fear. And Iowa State now does not either. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Keys for Iowa State, Jake, stop the run.
Yep.
Right, or at least limit the run. Don't let Iowa get loose, getting 6 yards of carry. Pick apart Iowa's secondary, which, I mean, we just – Iowa's defense is so interesting right now because it's not young guys, but it's guys that we haven't seen a lot of. Especially at the corners, at the linebackers, which, as we talk about Iowa State's tight ends, those are going to be important.
They don't have a guy, at least from my perspective, in the past that I think anytime they step on the field, I think Jay Higgins, Cooper DeJean, Josie Jewell, Jack Campbell, Desmond King. I think one of those guys, no matter what the situation of the game is, I always felt that they were going to make a play to change the game.
Yeah.
And from this side now,
who is that guy
I
right
don't
now for
see
Iowa?
that with Iowa. And And maybe there is with Cohen Entringer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe that emerges tomorrow, and that's where the next star comes. But from my perspective right now, I don't necessarily fear that every time.
And then I think for Iowa State, yeah, keep it close going into the fourth quarter. And you feel confident that Rocco Beck will find a way to make a play. As you just said, Scott, Iowa is comfortable in those spots too. I think for all of us, as an Iowa fan, of course, I'd love it if Iowa went out and dropped 52-7 and, just like ran away.
Yeah.
But I think for the game, like, having a close game in the fourth quarter, whether it's whichever team is up by 3 points, it's going to make for a hell of an afternoon tomorrow.
Yeah, we got two kickers that one kicked a 63-yarder, one kicked a 55-yarder that would have been from 63.
They both would have been good 65.
Kyle Conradi, last year he hit the 54-yarder
And
against
really,
Iowa.
Iowa would have had a better chance of kicking a field goal than that Cade McNamara Hail Mary at the end
they
of
should
the
have let
game,
Drew
right?
Stevens try it.
Try a 70-yarder. Screw it.
Yeah, exactly. They went on. Cade McNamara, pooch punting it, or whatever he was trying to do. I mean, they would have been better in punting it than whatever he attempted. But, I think it's interesting. One of the things I did want to get your guys' take on this. And
Chiefs game is on, by the way. Are you a Chiefs fan?
Well, I covered the Chiefs for 6 years.
Okay.
In the early 2000s with Dick Vermeil as the coach. And
Do you sit there now and you're like, damn, I could have covered this team when they were, like
Not
the best
anymore.
thing ever?
Not anymore.
You covered a bad Chiefs team.
Oh no, they went to the play. They were 13-3 in 2003 when they had Priest Holmes and Dante Hall and Tony Gonzalez and
that's not bad. That's
two
not
Hall of
bad.
Fame offensive linemen, and Trent Green had 4,000 yards, so they were pretty good.
They were pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed going to some of those games, but
Anyway, I interrupted you.
yeah, when it comes to, I came out with a list of my top 100 rivalries this year.
Yes.
And I know I got a lot of feedback from a lot of people.
For sure.
And within the state of Iowa, because I had Iowa State at 34, I had the second rivalry for Iowa. And I want to get your opinions on this, but I want to give you my rationale for why it was there. From about 35 to 15, you have a blank ton. I don't know if I can say it or not.
You can. Yeah, you can.
Oh, a shit ton of rivalries that are in-state or border rivalries. The Holy War, Utah, BYU, you have Arizona State, you have Pitt, West Virginia, you have all these different rivalries. The Egg Bowl, Bedlam, Michigan State. You have all of them in-state or border rivalries that matter and are so emotional and so invested in their area, but only in that area.
Yes.
What I was looking at, and Oregon, Washington was high. Iowa, Wisconsin, I put the highest out of Iowa's.
Yes.
And part of my rationale is when I got to that element was I wanted to look at something beyond, hey, we hate each other. The passion's high.
Right.
Because the passion's high everywhere.
Yes.
So I started looking at how many times have they met as ranked opponents? How many times have they met with, if they're conference opponents, for the conference title at stake or a division title at stake or all these other elements? And Iowa State at that time, one ranked matchup. 15 times was a team ranked, and all of them were Iowa, except for the one ranked matchup. This time is 16. Iowa State's the first time Iowa State's been ranked and Iowa hasn't. Whereas I looked at Iowa, and the disparity is almost 2-1 in the victories. When I looked at Iowa, Wisconsin, for instance, it's 49, 47, and 2. They've met 9 times.
Jeez.
5 times they've beaten the other team when it was ranked in the top 10.
Damn.
So there are 7 times they won the West title out of 10 years. There have been epic games, and going all the way back, there have been games where they've played as highly ranked teams. So that's why I put that one higher, as opposed to gauging the emotion, which I respect and agree that the emotion of the Iowa State game in this state is higher than the emotion of the Iowa-Wisconsin rivalry.
Yes.
So I want to hear what you guys
Totally
think.
fair.
Yeah, I agree completely. And as a guy who has a bunch of family in Wisconsin, that's my most hated team. I effing hate Wisconsin. I'd rather beat them in anything than anybody. But it's hard because it does mean more. And I agree with your ranking. But this week, and as we talked about with your neighbor and the guy who sits next to you in the cubicle, and the guy who sits next to you on the the podcast. It's like, this is bragging rights. I have friends in Wisconsin, and we'll text a little bit, but 8 months after the football game, we're not. It's not still bragging rights.
Right.
This game tomorrow will dictate bragging rights, regardless of men's, women's basketball, wrestling, whatever. It will dictate bragging rights for a full 365 days in this state. And so I agree with you. I think the emotion means more for this Iowa State game. The game against Wisconsin means more for Iowa's team year in and year out. Plus, Iowa State hasn't carried their weight in this game. If Iowa State was a better program,
Paul Rhodes didn't.
If Iowa State was a better program, I mean, I was born in '82. Iowa State didn't win this game until I was driving a car.
Iowa State didn't.
Right?
I didn't remember Iowa State winning a game until 2011. I know I was born in 2001, so I wasn't old enough to watch the Seneca.
You gotta leave. Can you drink?
My son was born in 99. My daughter was born in 2001.
So
Thank you.
I completely agree with AD that Iowa State did not carry their weight enough until 2017. And for your criteria, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like, personally, there's no bigger rivalry in college football than Iowa State.
Right.
But how am I supposed to tell that to somebody from Mississippi?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to tell that to somebody from Alabama?
As you said, this level of emotion exists in a lot of these games.
They all think that. And from a criteria standpoint, I completely agree that it is probably somewhere in the 30s, because Iowa State historically has been a joke. They've been the laughingstock of Midwest college football, and Matt Campbell's changed that.
Yes, he has.
And I think he's changed that perception as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the level he deserves, but he's not viewed as Northwestern. He's not viewed as programs like that anymore. And
Well, he's viewed in a similar light, I think, as Pat Fitzgerald was.
yeah, that's fair. Northwestern's not Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt might be the better example.
Vanderbilt, up until last year,
Kansas,
Indiana,
before Leipold.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think what he's been able to do, everybody respects. There's no question.
Yeah.
Nationally, he has the respect that has never been afforded, and I'll throw some credit to Jamie Pollard because he has changed. Over the 20 years, Iowa State's trajectory is so much different today than it was back then. Back then, it was last place in the Big 12 for every category except, maybe basketball. And Wayne Morgan was there, so yeah, basketball. But he was been able to elevate the program with its fan base.
Yeah.
Because he basically said, look, in order to be good, you're going to have to do this too. And let's go for the ride together. And even in Des Moines back 20 years ago, it was still a little more Hawkeye territory. Now it's pretty damn even.
Oh, it was way more Hawkeye
Yeah.
when I was growing up. I grew up in Indianola.
You did too?
50. Oh yeah, we've talked about this.
I lived there for 2 years.
50 minutes from Ames. I was the only person in one of my elementary school classes that was an Iowa State fan. It was
elementary school? Irving?
Irving. Yeah.
That's funny.
That's wild.
Yeah.
My stepmother worked there.
Was it year-round school when you went there?
No, I went to
year-round school.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm a big advocate of year-round school.
Cool.
3-week spring break, 3-week fall break. It was awesome.
All right.
Way off topic.
Right. No, that's good stuff. But like I said, it's Bernie Brick, the AD there.
He was.
Yeah.
He's been elevated to even higher than AD.
Well, he was.
I worked for him.
He's from Burlington.
Yeah.
He went to Notre Dame. His wife Janelle and I graduated together.
Oh, nice.
At BHS.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Making connections. Small world.
Well, I mean, in my class was Casey Blake. And we were in the same grade. We played football together in 7th grade. Then we beat them in the playoffs in my senior year of football and came to Bracewell Stadium in Burlington. I'm a river rat, born and raised. Got a couple of river rats here in the audience.
B-Town.
B-Town river rats.
Casey Blake, Pete Blake. Growing up, those names. Growing up here in Urbandale, those names were like.
I love the
My
Black
sister graduated from Indianola in '97.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I know exactly.
Well, hey, Scott Dochterman, you've done a lot for us today. We appreciate it. I'm going to cut you loose, let you go celebrate or enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you up in Ames tomorrow for the big game. Thank you so much, and I appreciate this. And thanks again for last week, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Scott, go ahead and set that down. We'll have Jake step over here from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, different Jake.
A different Jake. We have multiple
probably
Jakes.
a better Jake.
Well, let's find out.
Definitely, probably a more successful Jake if he's in charge of all these Buffalo Wild Wings.
Jake from Buffalo Wild Wings, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, this is we're awesome. This is awesome. Thank you so much for having us out.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for embracing Iowa everywhere and like what we're doing. We did Ross Peterson and I did a show last year. It was kind of off the cuff. It kind of came together very quickly at the Buffalo Wild Wings in the old Capitol Mall in Iowa City on Black Friday, right before the Iowa-Nebraska game. And it was like, holy cow, this is, and really like for Iowa everywhere, we're a pretty young company and growing quickly. That was one of the first of that type of show that we had done.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, hey, can we do this? Can we pull this off? And we did, and it went really well, and it was great. And then you guys came back on with us this year, and we're doing it big, like 8 shows. We're going to be back in Cedar Rapids next week ahead of the game next Saturday. So thank you so much for like believing in us and bringing us on board.
Absolutely. It's been great. I'm a huge fan. I've followed both of your careers. Yours not so long, but very. I mean,
we've already established he's too young to be here. I guess he's old enough to drink.
My real ID, I'm 24.
Yes. So, I mean, the whole idea was I was in the Minneapolis market and we were doing the show with K-Fan and Paul Allen.
Yeah.
And I was like, can we bring this stuff to Iowa? And Iowa is such a college market. To have the University of Iowa, have Iowa State University, everybody loves this stuff. Saturday here is like Sunday up there.
Yes.
And how do we bring that here? And this is just evolving as we go. And I'm super stoked that you guys are here and doing this. The people that you brought out today, I can't imagine what the bar tab is for Iowa everywhere today. I mean, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., let's pound some beers.
Can you imagine if it was not an 11 a.m. kick tomorrow?
Oh my gosh! Right?
It's like everyone's thinking, gotta hit the bed eventually.
Eventually.
But, I mean, Buffalo Wild Wings has always been a fantastic place to watch sports. I mean, from the commercials where they're calling in and the guy trips the field goal kicker, so they go into overtime.
Yes.
And, it's always been a great place. It still is. Tomorrow is going to be huge in this state across all the Buffalo Wild Wings. It's just it's the community bar that you want. It's the sports bar that you want to be at.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, 30 beers on tap, wall-to-wall TVs, and what better day to be at a Buffalo Wild Wings than tomorrow, right? I mean, unless you're at Jack Trice Stadium.
I mean, even then, you can't buy beer at Jack Trice Stadium. You don't have $4 Bud Lights at Jack Trice Stadium.
This is true.
And you have them here at Buffalo Wild Wings and all the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Absolutely. Cross state.
Awesome to have Bud Light as a part of this as well. They're giving away a chance to win Super Bowl tickets. You just got to shoot some basketballs and you get into this tournament.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That is super cool. We're bringing everybody together in Ankeny in November for the championship for one winner. So there will be a winner from Buffalo Wild Wings.
From Buffalo Wild Wings and Iowa is going to the Super Bowl.
Well, they're going to Vegas.
Yes.
For the national competition for Super Bowl tickets. But one person from Iowa is going to Vegas.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, we will be at the Cedar Rapids location. Todd Brommelkamp is going to join me for that show a week from tonight. And, we're just so excited, man. This is awesome. I've always loved Buffalo Wild Wings. So, to be a part of this and have you guys as a partner is just super cool, man. Thank you.
This is awesome. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Thank you, Jake.
Absolutely. Hey, and then I got one plug, though.
Yeah, please.
I mean, we got 2 guys named Chris. Can we have 2 dudes named Jake?
2 dudes named
do it.
Jake.
I mean, we can talk. We're cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris Williams, I know you're watching. Get
He's
that done.
he's not. He's sleeping right now.
No, he's not sleeping. Well, he's probably up in the RV in Ames.
Did you hear how much caffeine that he had this morning? He took his tea shot. He had pre-workout, 2 Red Bulls, 2 cups of coffee.
Holy!
There's no way that guy is sleeping before the game is over tomorrow.
They were drinking those like crazy Bloody Marys
And that was
this
before
morning,
9 a.m.
right? Exactly. We're here at Buffalo Wild Wings, Merle Hay Road. You got to be here. If not tonight, then tomorrow for the big game. Really for all the games. And then Sunday, oh my God, it's back, baby. We're back. The long wait is over.
It is awesome.
NFL Sunday. How awesome. I'm sure last night was great with the Thursday night football game. It's cool to have a Friday night football game, Monday night football, Sunday night football, all day Sunday.
Bring it on.
The place to be.
$4 Bud Lights.
Well, you can't beat that.
$4 Bud
can't
Lights
beat
anytime
it.
there's a football game. Come get them.
Jake, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate
Really
it, guys.
appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for coming on, Jake.
That's
Absolutely.
Hawks on Tap here on Iowa Everywhere. The 4th live show we've done today. That's it.
Let's have some wings.
We did it. Let's have some wings. And then tomorrow we're going to be covering the hell out of this game. We'll be up in Ames. Chris Hassel and I are doing a post-game Hawkeye show from a bar on campus in Ames. It's either going to be the greatest show of my life or the worst show of my life. Stay tuned to figure out which one. That's it. That's it for us here on Hawks on Tap, Iowa Everywhere. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to everybody, and we'll see you next time.